Part 96. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 951. Bai Yulong smiled and said, Mr. Lin, don't refuse in a hurry. You can look at these things in my hand. I know that you are a practitioner of the immortal Dao system, and you are practicing the void tribulation. I have three things here that can speed up your practice of the void tribulation, the Zhoguang tribulation, and the true spirit tribulation. If you are willing to use the energy extraction method in exchange, I have three things here that can help you achieve these last three tribulations. Here we go into eternity. Bai Yulong looked calm, but said an incredible thing. Throughout the void, countless people are pursuing eternity, and the immortal system is the known path that is most likely to approach eternity. If there are three things like this that can really accomplish the last three tribulations, it must represent an unimaginable storm. Lin Yi's heart moved and he smiled slightly. The entire void knows how valuable the eternal level is. I don't know how many people want to step into this realm. But so far, there is only one person known to be closest to this state. Chairman of the Void Destiny Committee. Now you come here and tell me that you can let me complete the last three tribulations in a short time. Do you think I would believe it? Or maybe there's an ulterior flaw in it? And if you really have these three things, then you can completely change the immortal system yourself and enter eternity. There's no need to come to me. Bai Yulong smiled slightly. These three things do have some flaws. But they are not flawed per se. It depends on the cultivator. Once you complete the last three tribulations of practice, you may encounter unexpected events. Because in the distant past, there was no shortage of people who used various magical treasures to survive the 5 major tribulations of the immortal path in a short period of time. Even their true spirits are imprinted with the 5 major rules and are completely immune to the 5 major rules. But something bad happened to them after that. Under the backlash of a terrible force, I fell into the abyss of death. So from now on, everyone has a message. That is the cultivation of the celestial Dao, which must rely on one's own breakthrough. Including the president of the Void Destiny Committee. When he used that coin, it did not directly affect his true spiritual calamity. It's that after surviving the catastrophe, he was in an environment where he was bound to die. He was destined to fall. But at the last moment, he used the miracle coin to survive that crisis. The miracle coin triggered a void level vision, so some people are sure that the president of the Void Destiny Committee will be the first person to truly cultivate the immortal system to the eternal level. And these three things I took out this time are the treasures of our academy. They can not only help the immortal system. It can also help the cultivation of other systems. It has incredible power. The reason why they are used as exchange items. It's because your power is very strange. Did we also see the battle between you and King Jinling? That was an extremely powerful battle, which showed us your ability to ignore all harm. Maybe you can complete the immortal system through these three things, and use your own characteristics to survive the backlash of the void. Carve out an eternal path that is unique to you. Lin Yi looked at Bai Yulong in front of him. He made the decision after seeing through all his power. Everything is carefully considered, or in other words, there is a temptation buried under this careful consideration. Test whether the power you have mastered can be immune to the void backlash after completing 5 tribulations. If they could ignore the backlash of the void, they would definitely give up all their ill intentions. That means they have no way of causing harm to themselves. And if he agrees, he will exchange Lingbo's cultivation method with them, so they don't have to think too hard about him. Facing an enemy that can never be defeated, no matter who it is, they will choose to approach with caution. But if they refuse, they may think that they are not immune to the backlash of the void. And this proved one thing to them. There is a limit to the power you can control, and there is a limit to the damage you can be immune to. Maybe they will have other thoughts about themselves. No matter which of these two choices he made, The result was something Lin Yi didn't want to see. A thought flashed through my mind, it's true that the tree wants to be still but the wind doesn't stop. Only when one punch hits 100 punches and the subordinates see the truth, can they retract their claws that are about to move. Thinking of this, Lin Yi's eyes narrowed slightly. He, your proposal is indeed very attractive. I really want to agree, but it's impossible to use the method of creating spiritual waves. In exchange for other things, I am willing to agree to this business. Bai Yulong's face condensed slightly, and he was a little unclear about Lin Yi's details. It wasn't a direct rejection, nor a direct agreement, but it was actually proposed to use another method to exchange their 3 treasures. He smiled softly, and immediately knew that the other party had seen through their thoughts, which made him unclear whether the other party was afraid of them. Then can this person withstand the backlash of the void? If it's possible, it's not a good idea to do it directly. If it's not possible, even if we kill him, it's meaningless if we can't get the method of making Lingbo. The strange threat is imminent. If we lose the supply of Lingbo weapons, I'm afraid our Heian Academy will become the target of public criticism, and no one will let us go. It seems that we still have to take a long-term view. As long as the strange danger is eliminated, there will be a long time to plan. Thinking of this, Bai Yulong had a faint smile on his face. Since the first deal can't be negotiated, how about we talk about the second deal? Lin Yi looked at her and smiled faintly. Of course, no problem. How do you want to negotiate? Our Heian Academy plans to purchase a large number of Lingbo weapons. I wonder if Mr. Lin is willing to sell them to us. This matter? It's a small matter. But my production is limited. So I can only give you a part of it, 3,000 Lingbo weapons of various grades and a large energy storage device every day. The price is still based on the market price. Bai Yulong nodded when he heard it. Okay, our stationed personnel in the Crescent base will come to you to buy every day. Then we have a happy cooperation, Mr. Lin. Mr. Lin can also consider the first deal. Our Heian Academy is very sincere. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 952. Lin Yi smiled lightly and said casually, okay, I will consider it. Looking at Bai Yulong's leaving figure, Lin Yi's eyes showed a trace of solemnity. These people will definitely not stop so easily. This Heian Academy is probably just the first wave of people. There will be other people targeting me. It looks like we're going to have to be very cautious in the last few days. I also want to inform the old people in the store not to go out easily. An idea has quickly spread into the hearts of the old people in Wanchaiwu. Surely Yinjiang was concentrating on practicing the tribulation of all things. When she heard the news from Lin Yi, her face froze slightly. It's been an eventful time. It seems there will be a new storm. The old people in Wanchaiwu were awe-inspiring. They naturally knew how much trouble the appearance of Lingbo weapons would cause. It has been a long time since they came to Void, and they have a considerable understanding of Void. The existence of weirdness can be called the enemy of the Void, and the Void has designed every aspect of its research on weirdness. In the end, they came to the conclusion that the weird nature cannot be eliminated, which made them understand the specialness of their own store manager. He possesses special mysterious power and can destroy the weird nature that countless forces in the void cannot solve. The current store manager made a spiritual wave weapon and exposed his own abilities. This means that someone is bound to target them. No one wants this power to be held by others. The coveting of power is the instinct of life. At this time, Lin Yi knew everything well, but was not worried. Taking a deep breath, a faint smile appeared in his eyes. I hope you won't disappoint me too much. At this time, his confidence was unprecedentedly strong, as it had been for some time. The upper limit of his spiritual wave sphere increased nearly dozens of times, far beyond when he entered the strange place to explore the twisted area. This growth rate is still snowballing. This means he is immune to more dangers. He even planned to set off again to explore that strange place. However, if you want to explore, you still have to deal with things here first. How about we lure the snake out of its hole? Have a good fight with them and let them take back their claws. Just as he was thinking, a figure in black robe walked in. This man is mysterious and unpredictable, with an inexplicable fluctuation permeating his body. After he came in, no one seemed to notice him. There is no shortage of powerful people at the heavenly immortal Dao level in the Wanchai View, but they are naturally unaware of it. This person seemed to be invisible to everyone except Lin Yi. Lin Yi's eyes were always shining with the light of his true destiny. The upper limit of the spirit wave sphere has been increased, allowing him to maintain the operation of the true life principle at any time. However, the degree of activation is very low, but it allows Lin Yuxian to miss any danger. When he saw the person in front of him, he frowned slightly. He naturally discovered that the fluctuations emanating from this man's body were a force that could interfere with the five senses and soul induction. This power is very clever and seems to make full use of the five major rules around it. Lin Yi saw something familiar in this man. A seemingly eternal atmosphere, very mysterious. However, the power fluctuation on the opponent's body is only about 100 times that of the master of Tianxian Dao, and it seems to be just a projection. Far from reaching the level of the three ancient life forms seen in the strange place. Is this the ancient life before the void? Or something else? The black-robed figure slowly came to Lin Yi, and he noticed Lin Yi's gaze. There was a trace of surprise on the face covered by the black robe. You can actually see me? Is it really interesting? Lin Yi looked at him and waved casually, please sit down. The mysterious man in black robe sat directly opposite him. Sir, what do you want to see me for? The mysterious black-robed man looked at Lin Yi quietly, I'm here for the spiritual power you possess. The power of the mind is extremely rare in the entire void. Most people who can use psychic power can only be contacted by races with powerful talents. Or maybe after countless years of research, I have mastered a little bit of spiritual power. But the power contained in the spiritual wave weapon in your hand is flawless and the highest level of spiritual power. Has incredible properties. The acquired rules you use to carry this power are obviously the output of a special kind of spiritual creature. This kind of organism is a purely spiritual race. It builds its own spirit by absorbing the negative emotional magnetic field in the void, and ultimately derives rules that come from the same source as the negative emotional magnetic field. And this kind of rule, once it comes into contact with the power of the mind, will have the power to change reality. But even though it seems like these rules change reality, but the underlying reason is the power of the mind, brought to bear by these rules. The mind is one of the most mysterious forces in the void. It existed in countless eras, even before the void was born. There are many powerful and ancient beings trying to master this power. Do you know why? The mysterious black-robed man sat opposite Lin Yi, chatting non-stop about the power of the soul, not knowing what he was thinking. Lin Yi looked at him calmly, I don't know. Why? The thoughts of the man in black robe were cold and pure, because the mind can create everything and destroy everything. The ultimate source of it all. But it's very difficult to master the true power of the mind. And the power you hold is so perfect and mysterious. It's on our radar. I'd love to know how you got this power. Make a deal. Give me your power. And you will have our pardon and a place in the new world to come. Lin Yi looked at the mysterious black-robed man in front of him, smiled lightly and said, New world, I hear you say that, are you going to change the void? Yes, the void will be ruled by us. Only those we allow will survive. Otherwise, they will all be destroyed. Now I'll give you a chance to live. The man in black robe explained slowly, as if he was explaining a reality. Lin Yi looked at him calmly, maybe you do have this power, but unfortunately, I'm not interested. and you are not qualified to ask me to make a choice. The man in black robe looked at Lin Yi quietly. You are really an ignorant person. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Perhaps you hold some psychic power, the ultimate secret. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 953. But the power of the mind is not invincible. You have our attention. Soon you will face destruction. Then see you then. Foolish humans. As the last thought fell, in an instant, the mysterious man in black robe turned into a little light and disappeared. Lin Yi quietly looked at the place where the mysterious man in black robe disappeared. The moment the other party came in, he had already seen some characteristics of the other party. Naturally, he also knew that he was not coming in person, but just a strange projection with powerful power. An ancient creature? He actually threatened to rule the void? If it's not arrogance, it's the result of countless years of preparation. It seems that void is about to enter a troubled time. But since you've already targeted me, it's only a matter of time before you take action. Just let me see what you are. Hee. We also need to prepare some dangerous anti-personnel items. Thinking of this, his eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a glimmer of cold light. But these guys seem to have eternal characteristics, and ordinary methods may not be effective against them. Lin Yi thought slowly. In a mysterious space, 5 figures in black robes appeared here again. The leader said in a calm voice, "This Lin Yi will not be punished with a toast. Get ready, be sure to take it down. Ordinary power is ineffective against him. Prepare to construct a trap with the power of your mind. He is hiding in the crescent base of the Lord of Wisdom, which is close to the Void City. If you take action, it will attract their attention. The president of the Void Destiny Committee is infinitely close to eternity, and he still has something mysterious in his hands. It's best not to attract his attention. Otherwise, it may ruin our arrest plan. So, we need to lure Lin Yi out of his base first. What can you do? Just design a trap so that he has to come out. Leave it to me." One of the 5 people said slowly. More than 10 void days passed in the blink of an eye. One after another, people from various forces found Lin Yi, wanting to exchange the spiritual wave cultivation method in his hands. Various conditions were offered, but Lin Yi refused them all. However, these forces were unwilling to accept it and signed treaties to purchase lingbo weapons from him. Although everyone knows that only by mastering the spiritual wave weapon can the weirdness be truly eliminated. A mysterious wormhole in the void, with a fortress floating here. There is a legion numbering approximately tens of thousands in the fortress. Each of the soldiers in these legions has a combat power at the level of heavenly immortal Deo, and they all belong to the same race. They are the guards responsible for guarding this passage to other world groups. In the void wormhole, brilliance flashes from time to time, and figures appear one after another. After they arrive, they will enter this fortress and register their identities before entering this world group. At this time, a man wearing a strange robe slowly walked out of the fortress. His brows were furrowed, as if he was filled with sorrow. "I heard that a mysterious weapon appeared here, which can truly kill the weird and eliminate the weird essence. If this rumor is true, we will be saved. The epidemic of weirdness is getting faster and faster, if there is no way to solve it this time. Our world group will be destroyed, and I don't know how many people will be displaced by then." The man's face was full of determination, and then he quickly mobilized his strength, and a wonderful crystal appeared in his hand. There seemed to be stars twinkling inside. These light points represent coordinates one after another. The power was injected into the flickering coordinates along the crystal, and then the crystal emitted a wonderful power, opening a vortex in front of him. when the vortex is filled with powerful space-time forces. The man stepped into it and disappeared into the void in a blink of an eye. When he appeared again, he had arrived outside the void city silently. Arriving outside the void city, he quickly entered the void city through regular channels. He walked on the street and looked at the screens that appeared from time to time on both sides of the street. One battle after another is taking place inside. They are all warriors of the Void Destiny Committee, strangling the strange existence. Strange weapons appeared in their hands. These weapons shine with a hazy light, every time a strange being is about to be killed. These warriors will use spiritual wave weapons to deliver the final blow. Then, the weirdness will be directly turned into countless ashes as if it was burned dry. Looking at the contents of these videos, he immediately noticed the mystery. The weird essence of these weird existences seemed to have been wiped out in the attack just now. He suddenly became excited. Really, the rumors are true. In this group of worlds of the Void Destiny Committee, we have really discovered the power that can eliminate the weird essence. The man in the robe was slightly excited all over his body. He saw the hope of solving the disaster. He looked around quickly, and then he noticed a person. The person was holding a weapon in his hand, which was exactly the same mysterious weapon as the one on the screen. He immediately walked over and stopped the other person. This was a heist person, who had a humanoid appearance, but had a pair of bony wings, and also had his own way of cultivation. He looked at the golden-robed person who stopped him, and his eyes condensed slightly. Longgang people. What do you want from me? Longgang people, a very famous race, belonged to another world group. They were a very mysterious race, but the race itself was very powerful. Facing this mysterious Longgang people, the heist people had to deal with them carefully. The man in the golden robe looked at him solemnly. I want to ask, where did you get the weapon in your hand? When the heist people heard his words, they immediately knew what the other party was thinking. I bought this at the crescent base of the Lord of Wisdom. There is a store called Xuanhuan there, which sells this weapon. If you want to buy it, just go and ask. It won't cost much. Hearing this, the Longgang man immediately showed a hint of joy on his face. Excuse me, where is that base? More than 10 minutes later, the Longgang man in a golden robe came to the door of Xuanhuan. With hope in his eyes, he pushed open the door of Xuanhuan and stepped into it. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 954. Ring ring ring. There was a lot of noise, including the clinking of wine glasses, loud noises, and light music in the room. This place is as noisy as a bar, with many bounty hunters here drinking and having fun. This man's eyes immediately noticed Lin Yi sitting in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. He seems to be out of tune with everyone here, but everyone here can't help but show a hint of awe when they look at him. Obviously this person's identity is very special. At the same time, his eyes also noticed the weapons display cabinet next to the bar. In that exhibition cabinet, there are a large number of weapons, each of which represents the power that can kill weird. The Longgang man wearing a golden robe came to a wine table and sat down. Absinthe came over shiningly. Guest, what would you like to drink? A menu has been placed in front of the Longgang people. The man from Longgang looked at the absinthe and said, just have a drink at the bar. I have something to ask you. Absinthe looked at the Longgang man in front of him with a smile on his face. I wonder what you want to ask. Can the weapons in your exhibition cabinet destroy the weird? Of course, that is a weapon specially designed to eliminate weird things. What should I do if I want to buy in bulk? The Longgang man looked at the absinthe quietly, waiting for his answer. Absinthe smiled and said, it's easy. Sitting there is our boss, store manager Lin. He makes all the decisions on large-scale weapons purchases. The Longgang native followed Absinthe's hand and looked at Lin Yi, with a hint of understanding on his face. Okay, got it? After saying that, he stood up and came to Lin Yi in a few steps. "Hello, Manager Lin, can I sit across from you?" "Sure." Lin Yi smiled and waved his hand. The man from Long Gang sat across from him. "My name is Gang Brett. Born in the Long Gang world group. My race belongs to the dominant position in our world group. Control all the worlds in the entire world group. This time I am here to purchase weapons on behalf of my race. I heard that there is a weapon here that can completely eliminate the weird essence." When Lin Yi heard this, he understood in his heart, "Yes, I do have this kind of weapon here. How much do you want to purchase?" "I want to purchase 1 million weapons. Because in my world group, there are already a large number of worlds that are about to be completely occupied by weirdness. The amount of weapons we need is huge." Lin Yi raised his eyebrows slightly when he heard Gang Brett's words. 1 million weapons is not a small number. And there are certain restrictions on the weapons we sell. They all need to be charged and use special power to destroy the weird essence. It's not that the more weapons you have, the better. If they don't have enough energy, they won't be able to play a real role. They are just a bunch of ordinary weapons." Hearing this, Gang Brett's heart sank slightly. "Then can I buy a large amount of reserve energy?" Lin Yi calmly explained, "The energy of the large energy storage device can probably charge 100 S-level spiritual wave weapons. Each S-level spiritual wave weapon can be used for the final blow against weirdness. It can probably eliminate 10 weird essences of the celestial immortal Dao level. Every time the weapon level drops by 1 level, the amount of energy that can be charged will increase by 10 times. After the large energy storage device is used, it needs to come to me to continue charging before it can be reused. But recently I studied a technology. If successful, force energy can be transmitted through the air, no matter how far away. It ensures that large energy storage devices are always at peak performance. And spiritual wave weapons can also become weapons that can be used at any time. You come from another world group, so you can try this technology." When Gum Bread heard this, surprise suddenly appeared in his eyes. "Is this true?" Lin Yi said calmly, "Of course it's true. But this technology is not easy. I have to go to the field in person and choose a safe place as an experimental site, and the price will be very expensive." Gang Brett immediately said, "Manager Lin, I will report to the kingdom immediately and let them make complete preparations. Money is not a problem, we will definitely provide enough world coins and everything you need." Lin Yi smiled and said, "Then I look forward to your preparations. When we're ready, let's set off." Gang Brett nodded and left the master house with a happy face. Lin Yi looked at his disappearing back with a hint of thought in his eyes. "I hope you won't disappoint me, he. This sentence seems to contain other meanings. Long Gang People World Group. At this time, there was a huge void wormhole in the center of this world group, with a majestic city floating in the sky. The city exudes a hazy light, covering an area of hundreds of millions of kilometers. In this place shrouded in light, time and space seem to be chaotic and disorderly, and there seems to be some mysterious laws. There are also many small fortresses like bunkers in the light, which form a huge network, surrounding the huge fortress in the center. At the same time, it also covers the void wormhole below. At this time, in the center of the city, in a huge palace, a queen sits quietly on the throne, and her whole body exudes the breath of infinite time and space. She looks like the incarnation of time and space, and every cell in her body seems to be a huge time and space. There is an inexplicable look in the queen's eyes, and a faint scene appears in front of her. It is the image of Gum Bread, who is reporting something to the queen. His request can be granted, and he must come as soon as possible. The front line has fallen into a dangerous state. We are in urgent need of this mysterious weapon." Gum Bread nodded seriously in the light mirror. "Yes, Your Majesty." As the light mirror slowly dissipated, the queen's face became a little ethereal. Her beautiful face was a little tired. Weird, what on earth is this? They can't be eliminated for countless years. They can only be slowed down. Is destruction really inevitable? The mysterious queen of Longgang people, with delicate face, silver white hair, and perfect body, is simply a life form that is extremely beautiful. Thinking of this, she slowly lowered her head and looked at a black invitation in her left hand. Let's take a look at the results of gum bread first, otherwise maybe we really have to go there once. These people are not simple. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 955. Can these guys help us in any way? But cooperating with them is like seeking the skin of a tiger. We need to be cautious, and cautious again. There seemed to be a cosmic void in the Queen's eyes, with countless time and space lights flashing in it. She exhaled deeply and looked into the distance. There were huge ships with brilliant light, bombarding one after another of the huge strange ancient beasts in the void. One after another, the light that destroyed all things in time and space swept past and fell on one after another of the strange ancient beasts, exploding countless black ashes. The strange ancient beasts could no longer bear the impact of this force. Even if their bodies were extremely powerful and their regeneration abilities were amazing. But facing dozens or hundreds of destructive sieges, they could not completely resist. Finally, the body of a strange ancient beast completely collapsed under the destruction of hundreds of rays of light. The collapsed strange ancient beast blew up a magnificent hurricane. It was a strange wind, which contained infinite strange essences. Wherever it passed, everything was extinguished, and even the void was distorted and strangely alienated. All time and space, energy, and even matter were growing strange tumors, and they seemed to be turning into something strange. And this huge force was constantly ejected from these giant ships. The light swept across the void, blasting all the distorted and mutated voids into a vacuum, erasing everything in it. All the strange forces were neutralized and no longer existed in this void. But everyone could feel an inexplicable coldness filling this void, covering an area of thousands of kilometers. That was the remaining strange essence, which was rapidly merging into the void, and it was a force that could not be completely eliminated. In front of the giant ship, there were dozens of strange ancient beasts, and they howled in anger. Their bodies were extremely strange, growing countless terrifying organs, and they were not creatures that evolved normally at all. They slowly charged towards the giant ship, and a dark beam of light gushed out from the body of a strange ancient beast. The huge light directly hit a giant ship, and the huge ship body quickly collapsed and decayed at a speed visible to the naked eye, and finally disintegrated. But all this is not over yet. On the wreckage of the disintegrated huge ship body, countless strange existences are growing rapidly. It turned into a wave of strange armies and rushed towards the surrounding giant ships. But the surrounding giant ships seemed to have expected it, and rays of light shot out, destroying all these weirdness. The wreckage of the giant ship was also completely wiped out in this cleansing and turned into ashes. Every ray of light that erupted here was thousands of times more powerful than a cultivator at the level of Tiangxiandao. Ordinary Tiangxiandao cultivators were just ordinary soldiers here. They had to lead weaker soldiers and operate giant ships one by one to barely resist the attack of this terrifying strange ancient beast. In the cruel void war, everyone here is an ordinary cannon fodder. Even if they were cultivators of dozens of times the level of the heavenly immortal Dao or captain level beings, once they were affected by the brilliant explosion, it would be almost impossible for them to survive. Only those with great luck could escape before the battleship completely exploded. But compared to the entire battlefield, their number was too small. As for those who escaped, they could only escape to the nearest giant ship as soon as possible. Apart from that, they could only drift in the void. Hundreds of giant ships struggled to resist the attacks of dozens of strange ancient beasts. The battle line was moving, not static. The giant ships always kept a distance from the strange ancient beasts and prevented them from approaching. Behind the distant strange ancient beasts, there were patches of darkness. Countless strange things were constantly appearing, as if they had grown out of the void. The void there seemed to have become a hotbed for strange things, growing a bunch of disgusting tumors. A large number of strange things would drill out of these tumors, and some even had mucus all over their bodies. Each one was filled with the breath of madness and destruction. At a glance, this void produced endless tumors. They even connected to each other, forming a huge Feng Chao network. The area covered tens of millions of kilometers in all directions. At this level, the weirdness that was born every moment was almost countless and uncountable. There were at least 3 such battle lines in this world group, occupying 2/3 of the world group. This was a war that was almost reaching a desperate situation. In the Wanchaiwu, Lin Yi's third clone was ready to set off. Lin Yi had been studying the matter of charging lingbo weapons. Because although large chargers can solve certain problems, they cannot perfectly achieve the balance between energy consumption and recovery. This time he made a brand new attempt. If successful, lingbo weapons will be more perfect. It will also be easier to promote to other world groups, and it is only a matter of time to become a truly universal void weapon. In the Wanchaiwu, Gumbread had already arrived. He looked at Lin Yi with excitement and said, "Hello, Manager Lin. The kingdom has received the news, and they agree to all your requests. We can set off now." Lin Yi smiled calmly, "Let's go, this trip will probably be very interesting." Gumbread was a little puzzled. But Lin Yi did not explain it to him. A few minutes later, they had arrived outside the crescent base. At this time, a crystal appeared in Gumbread's hand. This was the thing that opened the void channel when he came. This thing is called the void markway. As long as there are clear coordinates and enough energy, you can move within the world group. In addition to time and space, the main power used is the void gravity between the worlds. Through the gravity between the worlds, time and space are distorted. This is a crossing technique that uses the power of the void. However, it only works in the world group, because the gravitational tides generated by the world will be spread throughout the world group. At this time, Gumbread opened the void channel and brought Lin Yi to a huge fortress. This fortress stayed on the void wormhole and was responsible for guarding the road to other world groups. After the two came here, Gumbread looked at Lin Yi and said, "We need to go through this void wormhole and register in this fortress first. Otherwise, anyone who tries to leave or come in will be attacked by the garrison here." Lin Yi nodded, "Okay, you lead the way." The two entered the fortress, where there were few people. Most of them were patrolling soldiers, with only a few people dressed differently and from different races. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 956. However, almost every one of these people has the lowest level of Tianxiandao combat power. Lin Yi and Gumbread were inconspicuous here, and no one paid attention to them. A few minutes later, they completed the formalities in this fortress. After completing the formalities, they left the fortress directly and came to the huge void wormhole below the fortress. Looking at the void wormhole below, Gumbread said solemnly, "The void wormhole is a very dangerous place, and it is not easy to cross it. At least you need to have the power of Tianxian to withstand the pressure of crossing. So next we have to use an auxiliary tool to accurately shuttle." As he said, a shining crystal appeared in his hand. The crystal emitted a bright light, covering the two of them. The light turned into a ball, wrapping the two inside, like a layer of crystal barrier. The two people wrapped in the light sank directly in the next moment and rushed into this void channel. After entering the void channel, a mysterious crystal appeared in Gumbread's hand. A hazy glow flickered in the crystal, and the glow seemed to be connected to a certain place. It was rapidly pulling them closer to it. Lin Yi had already inquired about the void wormhole before coming. The void wormhole itself can be connected to multiple world groups. This secret was discovered during the initial exploration. Later, in order to accurately reach their destination, the coordinates of different world groups were refined. The world group coordinates can pull people entering the void channel to the target world group. Basically, a void wormhole can be connected to 3-5 world groups. There is not only one void wormhole, on the contrary, there are many of them, but quite a few void wormholes are connected to unknown places. There are even Jedi among them, so the exploration of void wormholes is very cautious. And the opposite side of the void wormhole may even be a world that has been occupied by weirdness. Once such a void wormhole is discovered, it must be destroyed as soon as possible to avoid weird invasion. Therefore, there are only 3 void wormholes left in the world group where the Void Destiny Committee is located. Each of them has a legion to suppress it, and each legion has at least tens of thousands of high-level soldiers at the Tianxiandao energy level. There are countless earthly immortals, and relying on the large formation of the war fortress, any accidents in the void channel can be suppressed. This kind of war fortress is specially made, and there is no telling how many formations are involved in it. Moreover, these formations will continue to connect with the surrounding void. Through thousands and tens of thousands of years, it continuously accumulates energy, matter, time, and space, and even the power of the soul. This itself is comparable to the existence of the world, combined with the powerful weapons in the fortress. All of them are ultimate weapons. At this time, in the void wormhole, Lin Yi and Gang Brett are shuttling quickly. The huge compressed energy, matter, and even time and space visible to the naked eye are constantly passing around them. Let the circular light surrounding them continue to vibrate violently, as if it may break at any time. Shuttle through the void wormhole, the speed is incredible. The speed of shuttle here even exceeds the speed of light, which is completely inconsistent with the basic laws of physics. In Lin Yi's eyes, the light of the true destiny solution was constantly flickering. He was observing these mysterious scenes, understanding and absorbing the large amount of information generated during the operation of the void. This information would even be transmitted to the body of the Blue Star clone by him. Transformed into mechanical Dao traces, all the information here is evolved from the 5 major rules. Here, there is no reference to time, and Lin Yi can only rely on his external clone to judge the time. Finally, a huge darkness appeared in front of him, where there is the void. Puff! The two rushed out directly under the spit of a huge force. They entered a brand new void, and there was a huge and glorious city above their heads. Looking at the city above his head, Gumbrett's face showed joy. "We are here, this is the capital of our kingdom. The city of Longgang people, Her Majesty the Queen lives in it. Manager Lin, please follow me." The light shrouding their bodies turned into a stream of light and returned to the crystal in Gumbrett's hand. He took Lin Yi and flew quickly towards the huge city above his head without stopping. This huge city is made of black crystals, with dots of light flashing on it. A huge mysterious wave spreads around it, as if blocking the entire void. This is an extremely powerful force. Lin Yi feels that if he is not protected by his true destiny, he can't move at all under this force. However, this force is just quietly existing in this void, without really starting. Soon, under the leadership of Gumbrett, the two easily came to the entrance of the city, a huge gate that is 100 meters high. The guards here are all of the same race, Longgang people. They are wearing exquisite armor, which is a black crystal structure, covering every part of their body. Only the eyes are 2 transparent crystals. Lin Yi can see the function of this armor at a glance. This armor can be combined with the power in the Longgang people's body to greatly improve their combat effectiveness. The energy fluctuation can be at least doubled. The guards guarding the gate were all at the level of the heavenly immortal Dao, and every move they made was full of majesty. Their eyes were on Gumbret and Lin Yi standing at the gate of the city. Gumbret looked at them and immediately showed his ID card. "This is the Queen's guest, go and inform him." The guards were all surprised to hear this. One of them quickly walked towards a room at the gate of the city. Gumbret had already taken Lin Yi and walked quickly into the city. "Mr. Lin, please follow me," they have already informed him. "The Queen's summons will come soon." Lin Yi did not speak the whole time, but just followed behind Gumbret calmly. The two waited for less than a few minutes behind the gate, and a gorgeous shuttle quickly arrived at the gate to greet them. Then, the shuttle quickly passed through the city and came to the center of the city. There is a huge palace complex here, which is obviously the palace of the Queen of the city. After the shuttle entered the palace, it stopped in a square. When Gumbret and Lin Yi stepped off the shuttle, 2 rows of neatly dressed guards appeared in front of them. Each of them wore an exquisite dress, which showed the solemn courtesy. At the front of the line was a long gang man wearing a golden robe. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 957. After seeing him, Gumbret immediately said to Lin Yi beside him, "Mr. Lin, this is our prince, Lord Blakes, he is the husband of the Queen." Hearing Gumbret's introduction, Lin Yi felt that the people of Long Gang valued him and actually sent a prince to greet him. At this time, Gumbret had turned to Prince Blakes and said, "Prince, this is Mr. Lin who has mastered the manufacture of lingbo weapons. This time, come in person to help us resist the weirdness." King Cheen Blakes came up with a serious face and a faint smile. He touched his chest with his right hand and nodded gently, "Hello, Mr. Lin, I welcome you on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. Her Majesty the Queen has been waiting in the palace for a long time, please follow me." Lin Yi smiled faintly, "Okay." He could see that the people of Long Gang were very anxious, including this time's welcome was very hasty. Even the owner of this world group couldn't wait to see him. Soon they came to a huge palace. It looked very empty here. There was a huge throne at the end of the palace. Sitting on the throne was a woman in a golden robe. She wore a crown on her head, held a scepter in her hand, and had long silver hair draped behind her. Her delicate and beautiful face seemed to be filled with the glory of the whole world. Her eyes were shining with endless stars, like the universe. She was the queen of the Long Gang people, Saint King Silyana. She also had an aura that was infinitely close to eternity, and she was also an extremely powerful person in the void. At this time, Lin Yi, Gumbret, and His Royal Highness had all come under the throne. The hall was empty except for the 4 of them. Obviously, the Queen did not want anyone else to be present. Her eyes fell on Lin Yi. "Hello, Manager Lin of the Wanchai. I am the Queen of the Long Gang people. Let's start the transaction now. According to the information from Gumbret, we originally planned to purchase a large number of lingbo weapons. But lingbo weapons seem to have a charging problem. You said you wanted to conduct an experiment to solve it, I don't know how likely it is." Silyana didn't say any nonsense, went straight to the point, and looked at Lin Yi with burning eyes. Lin Yi looked at the Queen in front of him with a faint smile on his face. "Your Majesty, rest assured. I am basically 90% sure. Now you just need to provide an absolutely safe place as a charging point. Then all the lingbo weapons you buy in the future will have an endless supply of energy. Of course, you have to pay for energy replenishment." Queen Silyana nodded slowly after hearing this, "As long as your weapons are really useful, money is not a problem. Now our Long Gang people's world group is facing great danger. I want to ask, do you have more powerful lingbo weapons? I have seen lingbo weapons, and its power to destroy weirdness is unquestionable. But now the number of our enemies far exceeds the number of lingbo weapons you can provide. If you only use lingbo weapons, it will take a long time to stabilize the front line. If you want to counterattack, it will take even longer. In this process, it is hard to guarantee that there will be no unknown risks. Lin Yi naturally knew what the Queen meant. The other party wanted to be able to destroy a large number of weird weapons. However, Lin Yi had also thought about this kind of large-scale Lingbo killing weapon. However, the conclusion is difficult, because Dao Mark restricts the manufacture and development of weapons. Dao Hen's daily output has reached its limit. Just making ordinary Lingbo weapons and large chargers has exhausted all his strength. If Dao Hen can't keep up with the production of large weapons, he has no other choice. I know what the Queen means, but it is difficult to accomplish. My energy needs special materials to carry it. This material is a product of acquired rules composed of spirit. The Queen should have also seen the basic structure of Lingbo weapons. It is not easy to get this material. And it is also the reason that limits the development and expansion of Lingbo weapons. Hearing this, the Queen smiled brightly. It is precisely because I understand that I raise this question. If we Longgang people are willing to provide you with this energy-carrying material, can you make a more powerful weapon? Lin Yi heard this and showed a hint of surprise in his eyes. Looking at the Queen on the throne, the other party's expression was very serious, and it didn't look like she was lying. But he knew very well how difficult it was for Dao Hen to condense something like this. That is to say, strange spiritual creatures like the celestial beings are born with the ability to condense Dao marks, and only then can they become the source of materials. Thinking of this, he suddenly had an idea. Could it be that Her Majesty the Queen has a race that can specifically condense this kind of spiritual Dao information? I can find the celestial beings, so it doesn't make sense that the Longgang people, who are the commander of a world group, can't find a similar race. And the foundation of a world group probably won't lack such things. The spiritual condensation of the Dao items may not be as precious as I thought. Thinking of this, his mind suddenly became clear. Looking at the Queen in front of him, he smiled and said, "If you provide materials, I can research suitable large weapons, specially used to destroy strange existences in a wide range." The Queen smiled, "Very good. We Longgang people can provide materials, you help me build large weapons. What reward do you want?" Lin Yi's eyes flashed with a faint smile. "I want this kind of thing." As he said, an imaginary Dao Mark crystal appeared in his hand. This imaginary Dao Mark crystal is the person who once got the gifted gem from him. After countless experiences, he sublimated his skills and finally condensed the Dao Mark. It contains all the imagination and essence of this master of art, and has a little aura of his countless wisdom. This crystal looks very beautiful, just as beautiful as a soul. The Queen's eyes fell on this imaginary Dao Mark crystal, and immediately noticed its difference. This is the rule of acquired evolution. But it is not a natural evolution, but an acquired rule created by the wisdom of life. Since ancient times, people who can condense this crystallization of wisdom are respected by us as enlightened ones. Because they have created a brand new truth and condensed their own way. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 958. No matter whether this Tao is big or small, or whether it has extraordinary power. You want this kind of thing, you undoubtedly want their Tao. But as far as I know, this Tao comes from their soul, heart, and spirit. Unless they are willing, no one can force them to give up their Tao. That's what I said, but with the size of you Longgang people, there should be a lot of Tao inheritance items left by these Tao enlightened beings. Among these inheritance items, there should be no shortage of their own Tao. Hearing Lin Yi's words, Her Majesty the Queen seemed to suddenly remember something. Then a bright smile appeared on her face. "I remember, Mr. Lin, it seems that our transaction will definitely go smoothly. How many of these inheritance items do you want?" "I want as many as you can." Lin Yi's eyes showed a greedy light. He suddenly found a brand new way to obtain a large number of imagination Tao traces. That is to ask for these huge organizations that have suffered strange invasions. Their countless years of gains and accumulation, and even their huge network of contacts, can be used by him. It was countless times faster than him looking for the right geniuses one by one, sowing seeds and waiting for the harvest. He now had the Lingbo weapon in his hand, which was the key to victory that no one could ignore. In the words of the earth, this was the power of monopoly. He was extremely happy, and he truly saw the infinite possibility of fulfilling his true destiny. The conditions with the queen were soon negotiated. Lin Yi used the materials provided by the queen to create a large-scale weapon for them to destroy the weird. The queen provided him with a large number of inherited items with imagination traces, and they must be unlimited. Lin Yi guaranteed to produce large-scale weapons that were enough to destroy the weird in the entire world group. A negotiation ended in a pleasant atmosphere. The next step was the formal transaction. The first thing was to make a Lingbo transmission device. Under the leadership of the queen, the two came to the treasure house of the Longgang people, where all the treasures collected by the Longgang people during the period of ruling the world group were stored. These treasures were stored in the center of this huge city, where there was a mysterious time and space. The queen and Lin Yi stood in front of a golden gate. There were only the two of them here, and nothing else. This space and time was pitch black, with only the golden gate shining in the middle. The queen stood in front of the golden gate, and she raised the scepter in her hand. The scepter emitted a faint light, shining on the gate. The originally closed gate quickly underwent countless changes. Lines that could not be described in words flickered and flowed on the cracks of the golden gate. Finally, a crack slowly cracked, and the gate opened to both sides. An unimaginably strong spiritual fluctuation gushed out from it. When Lin Yi saw inside the gate, he was completely stunned. There were endless treasures, each of which exuded unimaginable brilliance and energy, and even space and time fluctuations. Each of these treasures exuded different brilliance, and each was filled with a breath of history or legend. Obviously, all of them were treasures with their own origins. At a glance, this treasure house was as big as a planet. And this planet is not the Earth, but the size of Jupiter. Looking at this treasure house, Lin Yi felt like a country bumpkin. The little wealth earned by the Wanchaiwu was not even a drop in the bucket here. At the same time, he also deeply realized one thing. A huge force that dominates the world group, how terrifying is their foundation. Queen Silyana on the side said calmly, "Here are the treasures that we Longgang people have collected for countless years. Each of these treasures has an extraordinary origin. Each of them represents the legend of an era. But when facing the real weird danger, the role of these treasures is quite limited. No matter how powerful they are, some can even destroy the world. Faced with the real weird nature, they are powerless. Mr. Lin, please follow me." Led by the queen, they entered the golden gate. When they walked into the treasure house, a golden stone slab appeared under their feet. The stone slab can be moved, leading them to move quickly in the treasure house. The queen seemed to have a direction, and soon came to a long mountain of treasures. They stood on a strange treasure mountain. This mountain is made up of small boxes one after another, arranged neatly like a pyramid. The pyramid made up of boxes is hundreds of meters high. The queen's scepter was slightly raised, and she gently pointed at the pyramid made up of small boxes. A white box flew out of the huge pyramid. The box flew directly to Lin Yi. "Mr. Lin, this is one of the materials. This is a regular crystal made of spirit, which is the same material you use to make spiritual wave weapons. Although there are some differences, you can see if it can be used." Lin Yi took the box and slowly opened it, revealing a compressed space. The space was neatly arranged with endless mysterious crystals. The range of this compressed space is at least as large as the Earth, and the crystals inside are endless. He moved his mind, and a crystal flew out of it. This is a pure white crystal, about the size of a little finger. This crystal is round and contains obvious acquired principles. This principle represents the direction of light. Looking at the countless crystals in the box, the principles contained in all the crystals seem to be similar, all kinds of light principles. Seeing this scene, he suddenly understood. This thing is fine, it can be used as a material to carry energy. But we still need materials to make weapons. The queen smiled slightly, and pointed the scepter downward. Another box flew out, it was a box that was all green. The box flew directly in front of Ling Ai, it contains something with spiritual materials. It can be fused with the light crystal in your hand just now to become the skeleton of the weapon. At the same time, several boxes of different colors rose in the small box pyramid. These materials involve 5 aspects: time, space, soul, matter, and energy. You can make any series of weapons. If it's not enough, you can tell me what type of material you need, and I will give you enough types and quantities. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 959. Lin Yi carefully checked the materials in the box and nodded with satisfaction. These materials are enough. If they are not enough, I will tell you again. Queen Silyana nodded, and she waved the scepter in her hand slightly. Lin Yi and her flew deeper into the treasure house again. Soon they came to a pile of treasure mountains emitting wonderful power, where hundreds of mountains were piled up. Each mountain was hundreds of meters high, and all kinds of strange things were piled up. The queen looked at Lin Yi. There are 317 peaks here, and each peak is piled with the inheritance items of the enlightened ones. Their powers are varied, but they all have one common feature. That is the acquired rules that contain the strong personal will of the inheritors. Basically, it is different from the rules evolved from the void, and even contradictory. Are you sure you want to use them as a reward? Lin Yi had a bright smile on his face. Of course. Other treasures are useless to me. Only the wisdom and spiritual light of these enlightened ones are what I really need. The queen nodded expressionlessly. You can take all of these. After the welcome fell, a jade box appeared in the queen's hand again. She slowly opened the box, and a huge suction burst out from it. All the inheritance items below were affected by the suction, turned into a torrent, flew into the box, and shrank rapidly. It can be seen with the naked eye that hundreds of mountains disappeared at an astonishing speed, and finally all flowed into the box. The number of inherited items in these hundreds of mountains is at least hundreds of millions, or even billions. It can be said that they are the essence of countless generations of enlightened people in a world group. After getting all the materials, Lin Yi looked at the queen. Okay, let's take the next step now. I want an absolutely safe place. Make an energy transmission device. The queen nodded, pointed the scepter, and the two quickly left the treasure house. Standing at the gate of the treasure house, Lin Yi looked at the endless treasures behind him, and a trace of envy appeared in his eyes. It will probably take many years for the Wanchaiwu to accumulate to this level. But at the current speed, it will always be able to reach the level of rivaling them. Led by the queen, the two soon came to a mysterious palace. This palace is all white, which is very strange in this black palace. Standing outside the gate of the palace, a trace of nostalgia appeared in the queen's eyes. There are hundreds of guards around the palace, and each guard has dozens of times the combat power of the Tianxiandao level. The power of one of the strongest even fluctuates hundreds of times that of the heavenly immortal Dao level. A pure heavenly immortal Dao strongman seems to be completely at the bottom among the countless strongmen in the void. The immortal Dao cultivation system seems to have obvious flaws. However, the Lord of the Immortal Palace and the chairman of the Void Fate Committee do not look so weak. The power fluctuations on their bodies are also hundreds of times that of the heavenly immortal Dao level. Obviously, they have not only cultivated the immortal Dao system. Or there are other ways to increase the upper limit of the immortal Dao system? Lin Yi does not care about the strength of the power, and his eyes just look around calmly. The queen's voice sounded slowly, "This is the meditation palace. A wonderful place, with the power to let people communicate the mysteries of the void. This is an important place for cultivation, which is extremely beneficial for understanding the rules of the void. Even at my level, I often use this place. Therefore, the guards here are also very strict. You can set up the energy transmission device here. No one can enter here except me in the future." Lin Yi showed a faint smile on his face. "That's good. Give me a day to build the transmission device. This is what I carry, all the spiritual wave weapons and energy storage equipment currently in stock. It can probably eliminate some of the weird existences. You can send it to the front line first and let your soldiers use it to see the power." Queen Silyana took the dimensional pocket and quickly put it away. At the same time, she said to the guards on both sides, "Open the door and let Mr. Lin in. Unless Mr. Lin wants to come out or I want to go in, no one is allowed to disturb." The guards on both sides followed the order and opened the door of the White Palace. Inside the gate was a pure white space, which looked very strange. Lin Yi turned his head and smiled at the queen, then walked in a few steps. Click. The gate behind him slowly closed, and the whole world became dead silent. Lin Yi looked around, and the area here was about thousands of square meters, and the height was about tens of meters, a huge and empty field. The area is enough. Thinking of this, he opened the box full of white crystals. This is something called light crystal. According to the queen, it comes from a race called the Light Clan. This race used to rule the Longgang People's World Group. However, their rule was too brutal. Although it was called light, it was cold and ruthless. All the life forms in this world group had to look up to them, believe in them, and provide them with everything, even life. In the end, the Longgang people, unwilling to be oppressed, led countless civilizations in this world group to fight back. They killed all the light tribes and became the masters of this world group, the rulers of countless worlds. However, the Longgang people's rule over the world group was much better. Although it was also an imperial system, at least the people in the world group were all subjects, just of different races. And this light tribe was a kind of soul life form. They were born good at controlling the soul, and at the same time they had extreme worship and adaptability to light. Every member of the light tribe who was destroyed would become this light crystal after death. The crystal contained rules, which were the principles of the void evolution contained in their souls. This crystal was not an energy crystal, but a pure soul crystal. In terms of pure effect, it was more suitable for carrying principles than the spiritual condensed heavenly relics. Lin Yi injected a trace of spiritual waves into the light crystal, and the next moment, a hot light spread out. This light formed a faint area, in which everything was so hot. The power of the spiritual wave drove the light principle in the crystal, which contained a burning heat. It can be used, that's all. Thinking of this, his mind moved, and 3,000 light relics appeared in front of him. The next moment, a mighty force surged out and shattered these light relics. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 960. Countless bright principles shattered in an instant, turning into countless chaotic information. These information are composed of light crystals, which are the souls of the Light Clan. Under Lin Yi's control, these information began to combine rapidly, and gradually, a hazy ball appeared in front of his eyes. The next moment, more spiritual materials flew out of a box. Under the control of the true source of life, these materials quickly decomposed into the most basic particles. Then, they merged with the information of the principles to form a huge cube structure. Countless wonderful patterns continued to appear on the cube, quickly communicating everything inside and outside. In the center of this cube, a hazy and dreamy world of light appeared, which was a perfect mechanical Daomark small world. The majestic spiritual waves were quickly injected into it, filling the entire small world in a few minutes. The majestic spiritual waves kept rolling in this cube, extremely powerful and mysterious. At this time, a brand of thought slowly appeared, floated into the center of this cube world, and merged into the mechanical Daomark small world. The entire cube seemed to be agile in an instant, and a majestic spiritual wave force rushed into the cube along the imprint of the mind. This spiritual wave did not come from Lin Yi's clone here. It came directly from the spiritual wave sphere at the spiritual level. The imprint of the mind and the small world composed of the truth merged to form a coordinate that can be connected to the spiritual level. The endless spiritual waves can be continuously replenished, and the large energy storage device will no longer need to be transported to the Wanchaiwu for Lin Yi to recharge. After doing all this, Lin Yi did not stop. He also had to refine large spiritual wave weapons that could destroy countless weirdness in an instant, which was the top priority. He took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. Various information flashed in his mind. After coming to the void, he collected various power systems. There was no shortage of various mysterious creations, even large war weapons, and some ultimate weapons produced by destroyed civilizations. Countless information flowed in his mind, and soon he chose a target, an ultimate weapon developed by the immortal civilization. Xuanhuan Void. This is an ultimate weapon developed by the immortal civilization. It uses the 5 innate rules to perform some kind of mysterious compression and collision, and finally detonates the void, causing a chain reaction and erupting with a power thousands of times. This power can even destroy hundreds of worlds. In the distant past, this thing even caused a world group crisis. It can be called the ultimate weapon among ultimate weapons. This thing was once used to deal with weirdness, but the result was the same. Even if the void was destroyed, the essence of weirdness was not eliminated. At present, he already knows the situation of the world group where the Long Gang people are located. More than 2/3 of the area has been occupied by weirdness. The number of weirdness is calculated in trillions. Simply millions, tens of millions, even billions of spiritual wave weapons can only keep the front line stable at most. If you want to turn defeat into victory, it will take countless years to clear the void occupied by weirdness bit by bit. Therefore, if you want to really turn defeat into victory quickly, you must have lethal weapons that can cover trillions of kilometers. Moreover, this weapon must be able to cover all the strange essences within the range when the spiritual wave explodes with destructive power. Among the various weapons known to Lin Yi, the Xuanhuan Hollow is the most powerful weapon. It is not difficult to transform this weapon into a spiritual wave weapon. The spiritual wave itself is unconstrained, and Lin Yi only needs to do one thing. That is to load and store enough spiritual waves in this weapon to cover every corner within the explosion range. At that time, as long as the strange essence appears, it will immediately produce an effect. The strange essence and the spiritual wave must never touch each other. At the moment of contact, the strange essence will be swallowed up and drawn into the source of the spiritual wave. The production of the Xuanhuan Hollow is not a simple matter. Most of the materials he needs are very precious, involving the most precious materials in the void. Even the crystallization of pure time and space, each one is priceless. But now with the entire Long Gang people's treasure house as a backing, Lin Yi will not have any difficulties in making it. With the true source and true perseverance, any substance can be controlled by him. Anything that has been transformed into matter and energy is under the control of the true source of life. At this time, countless wonderful substances that shone with brilliance flew out of the boxes and quickly gathered in front of Lin Yi. The true source of life was activated, and these substances turned into countless tiny particles in front of him, and then condensed and transformed according to the form of the turbid source. Time passed by, and countless particles spread throughout the space under Lin Yi's control. They were colorful and looked like the Milky Way. The next moment, countless Milky Way particles began to gather madly and finally turned into a ball. Each particle was filled with extremely delicate lines. Countless particles gathered into a ball, and the lines were connected to each other and turned into one. An inexplicable wave slowly spread out from the center, which was like a heart beating. Plop, plop, plop. At this time, a spiritual wave was constantly injected into it and stored in every particle. In each particle, there is a little Dao trace information hidden. Each particle has become a storage device for spiritual waves. After more than 10 minutes, a round ball the size of a human head appeared in front of him. Countless spiritual waves were injected into it, and it seemed that it could not be filled. It took Lin Yi tens of thousands of times to fill it up. In a blink of an eye, a day and a night passed, and this improved version of the Xuanhuan void was completely created. It looks chaotic, but there is a mysterious power inside. Looking at this powerful weapon in his hand, Lin Yi's eyes showed a trace of joy. Test the power. As he said, he came to the palace gate, took a step out, and appeared directly outside. His appearance immediately alarmed the guards outside. But when they saw that it was Lin Yi, they all relaxed. The leader of the guards came over quickly. "Hello, Mr. Lin, what can I do for you?" Lin Yi glanced at him and threw the ball in his hand to him. "This is the Xuanhuan Hollow, a weapon of mass destruction. You can give it to Her Majesty the Queen and throw it into the area with the most serious weirdness infestation for weapon testing."